There are moments in life that can completely change everything. When I look back, I see that my journey began in a very ordinary way. Sometimes, those ordinary moments can transform into something significant. My story started like that. One evening, my stepson Liam and I were just hanging out in the living room. It was a quiet time, since Marquez had passed away, and silence had filled our home for 2 years. I had been trying to put my life back together, but in all that time, I hadn't noticed how much Liam had grown up. Or maybe I just didn't want to see it. We were watching an action movie with some romantic scenes sprinkled throughout. Liam was sprawled out on the couch next to me, looking so relaxed, like he owned the place. For the first time, I noticed how much he had changed. His shoulders were broader, and his jaw was more defined. He wasn't a boy anymore. He had truly become a man. I quickly pushed that thought away, reminding myself that he was my stepson. As the movie progressed, the scenes became more exciting. Liam leaned slightly closer, resting his arm on the back of the couch, edging toward me. It felt like he was about to say something, but he stayed quiet. When our eyes met, I noticed a depth in his gaze that made me uneasy. I tried to convince myself it was nothing, just a movie, and maybe a misunderstanding, but my feelings told me otherwise. During a romantic scene, I felt his breath brush against my cheek. I hadn't realized how close he had gotten until he was nearly touching my shoulder. Inside, I was a whirlwind of emotions. Being near him made me uncomfortable, but it also sent a thrill through me that I found terrifying. Everything was happening so fast that I struggled to keep pace with my own thoughts. "Cassidy," he said, his voice low and careful, "I want to tell you something." My heart raced as I turned to him. "Yes, Liam," I asked, my voice shaky. "I just want to thank you for everything," he began. "After Marquez died, you were always there for me. You didn't have to be, but you were, and because of you, I never felt alone in this house." His words hit me hard, making me feel even more vulnerable. "Of course, Liam," I replied, forcing a smile. "I'm just glad you're here." But he kept looking at me intently, and he said, "Me too. Seeing you here makes me feel at ease." The atmosphere between us shifted, becoming heavier. It seemed like he felt it too, because he pulled his hand back slightly, but his eyes remained locked on mine. At that moment, I found myself frozen with uncertainty. My heart was racing, and my mind was a whirlwind of thoughts. I tried to keep my distance from Liam, yet a spark had ignited in my heart. It struck me that he was no longer just a boy. He had changed. That realization hit me hard that night, and it was a truth that would alter everything. Liam's demeanor was different. He was warmer and more emotional than I had ever seen him before. For years, I'd played a motherly role in his life, but the Liam next to me had grown into a striking 19-year-old man, tall and handsome. Still, I reminded myself that he was my stepson, and I tried to hold on to that thought, to quell the confusing emotions stirring within me. But I had no idea that this was just the beginning. When Liam looked at me that night, the depth in his eyes left me vulnerable, and I found myself questioning why he was being so affectionate. I didn't realize we were on the brink of an event that would forever change my life. If you enjoy hearing stories like this, consider subscribing to my channel and turning on notifications. Trust me, this tale is going to be one of the most exciting you'll ever hear. A few days after that night, Liam's behavior began to shift. During breakfast, he was more talkative, and it felt like his eyes were glued to me. he started helping around the house more than ever. One morning, while I was sweeping, he took the broom from my hands and insisted on doing it himself. I was taken aback. He had never acted like this before. "I know you handle everything alone," he said, his gaze locked on mine. "You're just one person. Someone should help you." His words were unexpected and strangely touching. "Thank you, Liam," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. Inside, however, I felt warmth spread through me as he recognized my loneliness. Later that day, while I was cooking, I noticed Liam standing behind me, leaning against the counter with his eyes fixed on me. The way he looked at me was different. His gaze traveled over my body, from my hips to my hair. At first, I thought I was imagining things. "No, Cassidy, you're overreacting," I told myself, yet the intensity of his stare sent a thrill through me. I tried to maintain my composure, but deep down, I reveled in the attention, something I hadn't felt in a long time. Once he left the kitchen, I found myself drawn to the mirror, checking my reflection. Even in my 40s, I still felt I had something to offer. I had a slim waist, full hips, and a fit body thanks to my regular exercise. My light brown wavy hair cascaded gently over my shoulders, softly framing my face. As for my breasts, they seemed to have a youthful glow that didn't seem to match my age. It had been a long time since I'd really looked at myself in the mirror, and at that moment, I felt a shift inside me. Something was changing, and I could sense it. Liam's attention toward me became clearer as the days passed. His gaze rarely strayed from me. Sometimes he would casually touch my arm, while other times he would speak softly. But I began to notice that he was testing the waters of our relationship. To my surprise, I found myself enjoying this attention. After what happened that day in the kitchen, I lay in bed that night, unable to shake a specific thought from my mind. Liam was no longer just a boy. He'd transformed into a handsome, mature man. I never realized how much this knowledge would thrill me, and I knew that soon our friendship might evolve into something complicated beyond repair. One evening, after being out, I returned home to a sight that took my breath away. The house was filled with candles, flowers adorned the room, and a beautifully arranged table created a romantic atmosphere. I was overwhelmed and captivated by the birthday surprise Liam had prepared for me. Initially, I couldn't believe it was meant for my birthday. This kind of effort seemed more suited for a romantic partner. When Liam entered the living room to greet me, I instantly understood why I had thought that. He was dressed in a crisp white shirt and black trousers, looking more put together and charismatic than I had ever seen him. It was hard to look away. "I want to make this day special for you," he said with a faint smile, before handing me a box. When I opened the box and saw the dress inside, I was left speechless. It was a gorgeous, bold red dress with a soft texture, a deep back, and a high slit. Excitement and hesitation bubbled up inside me. "You bought this for me?" I asked, surprised. "Of course, it's your birthday, and I wanted you to wear something special. I know it will look amazing on you," he replied, his voice calm, but his gaze intense. I took the dress and went to my room. As I stood in front of the mirror, the soft fabric brushed against my skin, bringing forth feelings I hadn't experienced in years. Slipping into the dress, I realized I hadn't worn anything that beautifully highlighted my figure in a long time. The high slit showcased my long legs, and the shape of my waist and smooth back complemented the dress perfectly. After a moment of silently observing my reflection, I smiled and whispered, "This is crazy. I'm dressing up for Liam, but wow, I really do look stunning in this dress." As I examined my reflection more closely, I began to confront truths that I'd long ignored. Wearing that dress transported me back to my 20s. It made me feel youthful again. My skin felt smooth, and my light brown hair gently framed my face, giving me an elegant look. Inside, I experienced a thrill that I hadn't felt in ages. Taking a deep breath, I stepped out of the room and headed to the living room. As I walked in, Liam's gaze locked onto mine. He couldn't look away. The way he looked at me felt almost surreal, filled with genuine admiration. I smiled and told him, "I owe this to you. The dress is amazing." However, I quickly glanced away, feeling a bit shy under the intensity of his stare. "You really do look stunning in that dress," Liam replied, still focused on me. His direct compliment made my heart race, but I tried to downplay it, saying, "You're just exaggerating." Liam then took my hand and guided me to a beautifully set table, complete with 2 wine glasses and an elegant bottle of red wine in the center. For a moment, everything felt different. This didn't seem like a simple birthday celebration. It felt more like a romantic dinner. I didn't say anything, as the intimate atmosphere drew me in. Liam poured the wine into our glasses, and soft music played in the background. The wine had a pleasant sweetness that lingered in our mouths. We began by reminiscing about our past, discussing Marquez and the changes we've both undergone. But gradually, I noticed that Liam was shifting the conversation to something more personal. "Cassidy," he said suddenly, his tone soft yet serious, "how can someone like you be alone? I just don't understand." I met his gaze, momentarily speechless. "Being lonely isn't always a choice," I replied. "Life has a way of leaving you by yourself." But there was something deeper in Liam's eyes. "You don't have to be alone," he said, lifting his glass. "A woman like you has needs, and I'm here." His words hit me harder than I anticipated. I raised my glass and took a sip, keeping my eyes on him. This birthday celebration had transformed into something more profound. When Liam set his glass down, he continued to gaze at me. "Cassidy, you look absolutely incredible. I wanted this night to be special for you because you deserve it," he said in a low, firm voice. I smiled shyly, twirling my glass in my hand. "That's really kind of you to say, Liam, but sometimes I wonder why you're making such an effort." Liam raised an eyebrow and replied, "Because you deserve it. You're not just a stepmom." "Cassidy, you're so much more than that," Liam said, his voice deep and heartfelt. It caught me off guard and stirred something inside me. For a moment, we simply stared at each other, our silence thick with tension. My heart raced, but I found myself unable to speak and break this moment. Slowly, Liam stood up from his chair, walked around the table, and came to my side. He placed his hand on the table and leaned closer. "You deserve someone who truly values you. No one should ever overlook a woman like you." "Liam, I started, but the words stuck in my throat. Just as I tried to respond, he leaned in even closer. "I can't hide my feelings anymore," he whispered. And then, without warning, his lips touched mine. The kiss caught me completely off guard. A rush of warmth and passion filled me, creating a connection I hadn't felt in years. Liam's hands gripped my waist, pulling me nearer. What began as shock quickly turned into a feeling I instinctively matched. Our lips lingered together for what seemed like a timeless moment, as if the world around us had disappeared, but suddenly reality sank in. I slowly pulled away, gasping for breath. This isn't right," I stammered, my voice shaky. "Liam, I need to go to my room." All I could manage to say made my heart race even more. Liam looked at me, took a deep breath, and said, "I'm sorry, Cassidy." I couldn't hold back my feelings. His voice was calm, but I could sense the passion behind it. Without saying another word, I stood up and hurried to my room. When I shut the door behind me, I leaned against it, trying to catch my breath. My heart was still racing as I tried to process everything that had just happened. I sat down on the edge of my bed and looked at myself in the mirror. Even my reflection seemed to carry the weight of that moment. "How did this happen?" I whispered to myself. The swirling thoughts in my mind, combined with the effects of the wine, eventually pulled me into bed. As soon as my head hit the pillow, the emotions of the evening swept over me and I fell asleep. But the night wasn't finished yet. Later, I heard a soft noise that woke me up. My eyes fluttered open to see a shadow at the door. The door creaked open, revealing Liam's silhouette in the dim light. "Cassidy," he whispered softly, his voice low but filled with determination. My heart began to race again as he stepped into the room and closed the door behind him. In that moment, the look in his eyes told me that our night was far from over. In that moment, the determination in Liam's eyes and the tone of his voice completely held my attention. My heart raced as if it might actually leap out of my chest. I realized I had to say something as our gazes locked, and all those feelings I had kept inside for so long surged up. "Liam, I need to give you an answer," I managed to say, my voice shaking, yet filled with raw honesty. "I feel the same way about you, and I want you." His expression transformed with surprise and joy, and that reaction gave me a boost of confidence. I smirked softly, then took a quick breath to steady myself. "Please, before I lose my nerve," I whispered. My hands moved to my shoulders as I carefully slid the thin straps of my dress down. The fabric slipped off and landed on the floor, leaving me exposed and vulnerable in front of him. Liam's breath caught as I noticed the admiration and longing in his eyes, which only amplified the thrilling rush I felt. Without a moment's hesitation, he stepped closer, and when our lips met again, it was like time had frozen around us. His kiss was filled with so much passion that it made everything else fade away. His hands wrapped around my waist, pulling me tightly towards him as the kiss intensified. Gently, he guided me toward the bed, and when we reached the edge, he lowered me onto the mattress, our eyes never breaking away from each other. As he positioned himself above me, I felt a rush of surrender wash over me. Liam quickly removed his shirt, tossing it aside, and as he knelt over me, the fierce desire in his gaze only ignited my own feelings further. His fingers slid softly down my cheek, rediscovering my lips. In that moment, all the barriers that had separated us over the years vanished completely. I felt something I hadn't experienced in over 2 years as I surrendered fully to the moment. My grip tightened around the sheets and I closed my eyes, getting lost in the wave of excitement running through me. When I opened my eyes again and looked at Liam, seeing his flushed face and broad shoulders, I couldn't help myself. I reached out to his back and, in a burst of excitement, lightly dug my nails into his skin. The way his heartbeat quickened showed me that he enjoyed it just as much as I did. I placed my hand on his chest and felt his heart racing. In that moment, Liam couldn't hold back any longer. We both gave in to our feelings, and as he lay down next to me, breathless, we talked about romantic things. Eventually, I drifted off to sleep. That day marked a significant change in my life. I had just experienced a night filled with happiness, like I'd never known before, and I realized it was just the beginning. There's so much more to this story, so make sure you stick around to see what happens next. If you're enjoying my tale so far, you truly won't want to miss what's coming up. Be sure to hit that follow button, turn on notifications, and share your thoughts about the story in the comments.